A scandal has broken out between Russia and China. China is massively dumping waste into transboundary rivers from which Russians drink, ignoring the damage and refusing to negotiate. Moscow is recording the pollution. Russia has officially accused China of polluting transboundary rivers, writes RBC, and Beijing is increasingly behaving like a metropolis in relation to the dependence of its colony, believing that Russia will tolerate everything. According to a new report by the Russian Accounts Chamber, which RBC has reviewed, the water quality in rivers flowing along the border with China is in a critical state. Monitoring was conducted in 2020 to 2023 at 8 points on the border with China, as well as downstream of the Argun, Ussuri and Sungacha rivers. Not a single sample met the conditionally clean standard. Instead, the water is classified as slightly polluted, polluted, very polluted, dirty and very dirty. A similar situation is recorded on the border with Mongolia on the Onon, Kyra and Uldza-Gol rivers. According to the report, one of the key reasons is untreated and insufficiently treated wastewater discharged from the Chinese side. In the last 5 years alone, the number of objects polluting the Amur River has increased by 21.6% to 111 industrial and business points. However, as the Accounts Chamber notes, there are no mechanisms for interaction between Russia and China to compensate for damage. Rosprirodnadzor admits that there are no negotiations with the Chinese side on the issue of transboundary pollution at all. According to Vyacheslav Fetisov, chairman of the Central Council of the All-Russian Society for Nature Conservation, Russia does not have the necessary water quality control systems in the Far East. Monitoring covers only point sources of pollution, and the main emissions come through diffuse channels from surfaces, fields, industrial zones, and it is this direction that is completely ignored. Scientists emphasize that the problem can only be solved through systematic interstate monitoring and clear agreements with Beijing. However, China does not agree to such agreements and apparently does not intend to. Against the backdrop of the war with Ukraine and international isolation, Moscow is rapidly losing control not only over foreign policy, but also over key issues of environmental security for its citizens. China, taking advantage of Russia's dependence, continues to build a colonial relationship with economic and environmental dominance. Beijing supplies Russia with equipment, transport, food and dual-use weapons while dumping waste into the rivers that the people of the Far East drink from. China's relationship with Russia is not an alliance, it is exploitation.
A Russian general killed by a car bomb last week was laid to rest outside Moscow Tuesday. According to Associated Press, Lieutenant General Yaroslav Moskalik, a deputy head of the main operational department in the General Staff of the Russian Armed Forces, was killed Friday by a bomb in his car in Balashikha, just outside Moscow. Russian authorities blamed Ukrainian special services for staging the killing and detained a suspect who pleaded guilty to terrorism charges and allegedly said he was paid by the Ukrainian security service. King Frederick X of Denmark arrived in Greenland on Tuesday, kicking off a visit to the semi-autonomous territory that U.S. President Donald Trump wants to annex because of its strategic Arctic location. According to Associated Press, Frederick's trip to the island's capital city of Nuuk follows the new Greenlandic Prime Minister's visit to Copenhagen earlier this week. Prime Minister Jens Frederik Nielsen accompanied the monarch to Nuuk. The king wore a jacket with emblems of the Danish and Greenlandic flags as he disembarked from the plane to applause. Nielsen, who was waiting on the tarmac to welcome him, said, "I've been looking forward to inviting him up here. He's very well liked here and he's always been happy about Greenland." Danish broadcaster TV2 asked Frederick about his mission during his trip. He said he wasn't on a mission, and he was happy to be there. Nielsen also told reporters that the Danish royal house's love for Greenland cannot be questioned, and added that there is still a strong bond between the two countries. The flight was originally scheduled for Monday, but was delayed because of poor weather conditions. Frederick is expected to meet with the new Greenlandic government this week, as well as attend a traditional kaffemik, or coffee break, to meet with Greenlanders, the royal house said. Weather forced him to cancel the anticipated trip on Wednesday to Station Nord, the island's northernmost military and scientific station, plus forego a meeting with an elite dogs-led unit of the Danish Special Forces that patrols the remotest parts of northeast Greenland. The monarch visited Greenland last July, months after he took the Danish throne upon his mother's abdication. This week's Greenland trip comes after U.S. Vice President J.D. Vance visited a remote U.S. military base on the island and accused Denmark of underinvesting in it. Trump seeks control of mineral-rich Greenland, saying it's crucial for U.S. security. Trump hasn't ruled out taking the island by military force, even though Denmark is a NATO ally of the United States.
Jamen, jeg har jo glædet mig til at invitere ham herop. Han er meget vellidt heroppe, og han har altid været glad for Grønland, og det er jeg selvfølgelig glad for. Jeg glæder mig altid til at se kongen her. Jeg synes, det sender et signal om, at kongen han rigtig gerne vil Grønland, og han rigtig godt kan lide Grønland, og det bånd, der har været stærkt mellem kongehuset og den grønlandske befolkning, det stadig er stærkt. Jeg tror, det er vigtigt for kongen også at komme herop sådan regelmæssigt i forvejen. I forhold til den udenrigspolitiske situation, der synes jeg, vi arbejder med det et lidt andet sted. Men jeg er glad for, at kongen han kan komme herop og vise også den grønlandske befolkning, at hans kærlighed til landet, det stadig er sådan. Og vi glæder os altid til at invitere ham herop.
Hvad skal der ske nu her?
Jamen nu skal vi ud og sejle, og så skal vi hygge os, og vi skal se nogle flotte isfjeld.
Fordi han kom.
Jeg er ikke på mission. Jeg rejser til Grønland, og jeg er glad for hver gang jeg kommer til Grønland. Og jeg synes, jeg har fået et fantastisk vejr her i Nuuk.
Ja, det er dejligt vejr i Nuuk.
Ja, ikke?
Hvad siger du?
Altid godt.
Så.
God tur.